Recently, I've been thinking of this story I read 5 years ago. It is a piece of media that I have referred back to on multiple occasions. It's an indie webcomic called Beyond the Side of You by Hiyori. It's a random story I came across one day. It follows two characters, one named Alvin and the other Reen. Alvin is in an orphanage, about to turn 18, burdened by the responsibility to figure his life out. Yet he comes across as this aloof, nonchalant, rebellious kid with a passion for art. In the same orphanage, a doctor comes by to treat the kids there for free, going by the name Reen. The orphanage had arranges for them to meet, hopefully having Reen be a positive figure to Alvin. Reen is a gentleman. The first thing Alvin notices is how Reen greets people using both his hands. After eating out, he goes to give his personal thanks to the chef. An idealist, Alvin thought. The story unravels as Alvin gets a chance to attend an arts institute by the help of the orphanage, as suddenly they had a donation. Alvin did not have to spend his savings for his education anymore, so things were looking up for Alvin. One day, Reen comes across Alvin and invites him to dinner at a restaurant, which Alvin ends up paying since he had a lot of savings. Next, Reen visits Alvin's institute. They start to become acquainted till Reen invites him over for dinner as a thanks. As Reen cooks dinner, Alvin notices a ring on Reen's finger, and when asked, Reen clarifies that she passed away and he doesn't want to talk about it. After dinner, while watching a movie, Alvin finds Reen to be fast asleep. How can someone sleep with a stranger in the house? Alvin thought and ended up leaving. The next day, as Reen apologizes and Alvin returns the key of the house, Reen says something odd. Keep it. Since the orphanage is far away from your institute, feel free to crash by at my place in between classes. Alvin could not understand this doctor. Had he have no sense of self-preservation? Who invites a random stranger into their house? Surely this person has never experienced the true horrors of reality. He lives in his delusional, idealistic fantasy. One day, Reen comes home, finding Alvin rummaging through his drawers, covered in bruises. Reen patches him up, and when he asks where he got it from and advises to refrain from fights, Alvin snaps at him, going on how the bruises are his continence. Interrupted by the doorbell, Reen's friend and his family come over, during which when Alvin brings up Reen's first wife, the said friend, named Olsen, clarifies that Reen never married. He fell in love with a girl who had a terminal illness when he was in med school. He made up his mind to marry her, bought the rings and everything, yet she did not survive the surgery. Alvin wonders, making up his mind on marrying a dying girl? Recklessness of someone who has never tasted the bitter cup of loss. Another day, Reen invites Alvin to watch a movie. Towards the end, Alvin comments on the word belong, saying belonging is just a lie people created, fake bonds that turn into chain and traps them. Reen questions Alvin, "You're from Adrena, aren't you? What brought you to Usna?" Different countries. Alvin explains after his father's death, his mother moved to Usna with her new man and proceeded to throw him in an orphanage as the said new husband did not want to take care of a child. That orphanage was evil and nasty, abusing and starving kids. Eventually, Alvin ran away from there and joined a gang, stole, tricked, got arrested, eventually ending up to their current orphanage. Alvin challenges Reen. "You thought I was an innocent orphan with a passion of art. Perhaps next time investigate before spending money on someone's education." Reen clarifies how he does not like investigating someone's past and only cares about what he sees with his own eyes, and that Alvin now is working and studying, leaving the life of crime behind. Alvin argues he would do it again if he had to. Reen suggests there's always the choice, and right now Alvin has chosen to pursue the good, just path. "You're just sugarcoating everything," Alvin says. Reen replies, I'm not, because the way you were telling me about this sounded more like you were trying to confess a guilt. The kettle hisses as Rean gets up to tend to it. In a moment, Alvin grabs his wrist, pushes him on a sofa, and grabs Rean's neck. What kind of a person lets a stranger in their house, gives them a spare key? Did it never occur to you that I might have more issues? That I might be a robber? A psycho? It sure didn't. Why would a luxurious, sweet little citizen come across such scary thoughts? You don't know anything about being cautious. You don't think twice before spending money. Life is a piece of cake. Choices? Choices my ass. Only life gets to choose whom to serve. Rean doesn't fight back. He just lay there holding a very painful expression. The next day, Alvin wonders of his doings. He regretted it, thought it was too late now. He has ruined everything, and perhaps that is for the best. But the way Rean didn't fight back, his pained expression, it bothered Alvin. One day, Dr. Olsen gives a heads up to Rean, telling him how he saw Alvin being ganged up by some people. Rean reaches aside and helps a bruised Alvin back to the orphanage. Despite never addressing that night's happening, they sort of make up. Things go on until one day Alvin is walking back from his institute and Olsen stops him, asking him if he's going to Rean's house and if he could hand over his wallet to him as he left it at work. Alvin hesitantly agrees, and in a moment of playfulness, he opens his wallet to check how Rean looks in his ID. What he finds changes everything. He finds himself at Rean's doorsteps, in tears, in guilt. Rean quickly understood and requests Alvin to come inside so that they can talk, as Rean stares at his ID, which clarified his refugee status. For some context, Rean was from Ashad, this country rich in sources going through retrogression, which served as a golden chance for Adrena to strip it down and seize its wealth in the name of justice. Again, Adrena is the state or so-called country where Alvin was from. Adrena throughout history remained a power-starved state that got away with sucking other countries' blood to thrive. So as threats of invasion arose, Rean's family decided to move to the countryside. Rean's family, his parents, were lovely people. They supported and cared for Rean, assured Rean to act as a kid and stay in the moment. As the war accelerated, Rean saw corpses and destruction as a very young kid. As his family moved and tried to scrap by, they still assured Rean that everything will be alright as long as they had each other. Rean did not know how to cope with all this, so he would spend his time reading, hoping to be sucked in that fictional or any fictional universe, until one day his mother requested him to get some flour from the basement, and then it came. A missile that destroyed their house took his family away. Rean somehow was rescued from the rubble, after which he lost his family. He immigrated to Usna and stayed in refugee camps, which basically equates to being homeless. He took odd jobs, he saved money, starved himself so he could buy books, and then he gave the GED and scored the highest score ever recorded in the past 3 years, securing a position to go to a med school. Alvin cries and cries in front of Rean, reevaluating everything. He threw judgments at Rean, took him as a naive born under a lucky star guy who never experienced hardship. He judged his careful choice of words, his kindness. Alvin kept on apologizing. "There's nothing for you to apologize for," Rean says. "I'm from Adrena. It could have been my dad who killed your parents," Alvin said. "You were 5. No one asked your permission before waging a war," Rean says, comforting Alvin. Alvin reevaluates his entire worldview. He thought his dad was a hero gone to save the world when he was drafted. Did he die a murderer? A thief? Reen comforts Alvin, telling him that his father was a good man. From what Alvin has told Reen, his father was an artist. He was a loving family man, and probably the reason he died so early on in the war is because he never wanted to take people's life in the first place. But Alvin remains unconsolable. Reen then says something odd. He says, "You know, one time I almost shot and killed a soldier." Once, Reen came across a soldier bleeding, begging for help, begging anyone for help. Reen grabbed a nearby gun and threatened to kill him. "You don't deserve to live. You killed my parents. You think your life is worth more than ours?" "I'm so sorry. I have 2 daughters at home," the soldier said. In that moment, Reen got reminded of something his dad taught. That there are 2 types of good men. First is a man good because he can't be otherwise. Second is good despite being very capable of otherwise. We might think the second is better, but we truly don't have any means of knowing who is which type. We might like to believe we are the second type, but because we live in a civil society, most of us go through life without having to face a situation where we can confirm that. So Reen, if you ever are put in a position when you're pushed into a situation to be a monster, I hope you'll choose not to be one. Reen's father voice echoed in his ear. "Does it change your opinion of me?" Reen questions Alvin. Alvin denies. Never. Anyone's head would be in a mess in that sort of a situation. Reen admits, if he gave in to his spite and thirst for revenge, he probably wouldn't be here. The story only further develops from here, and I could talk about it for hours. It has a lot of intricate development for Alvin and Reen, and we get to learn so much more about them and how they help each other, how they make each other better people. I highly recommend reading it. There's so much that I could not concise into this. One part of Reen's character I would like to talk about, which is my point, is that when Reen lived in a refugee camp, he came across a doctor. In the peak of chaos and children crying, injured, he calmly dealt with the kids and comforted them. In that moment, Reen thought, if I can be that, then perhaps my survival has a purpose. "What should I do to become like you?" Reen asks. The said doctor gives Reen a medical book and asks him to come to his tent if he has any questions. Someone questions the doctor, "Why are you giving the child false hope?" The doctor replies, "Logically speaking, circumstances change. The boy is very intelligent. His dedication is inspiring. If he believes he can make it, then I believe that too." Reen's motivation to keep going, to be able to serve to ease his survival's guilt, it is as though I'm trying to earn enough points justifying why I had to live. Every time I help a kid, I assure myself I survived, so the day comes when I can help him or her. It wasn't selfish of me to want to stay alive. We can argue the method, but I guess I'm slowly teaching myself that I do have the right to live just like everyone else. Reen confesses to Alvin. This sentiment and statement is something I keep coming back to. Having bestowed geographical luck, I still grew up closely following world issues, endless slaughter, and right now it is rampant. Arguing with people who are blinded by biases and propaganda feels so useless. I believe I carried these sentiments throughout, which is part of the reason I pursued medicine. We all know medicine is not as holistic field. It has billions of issues that sometimes feel so demotivating, and on other occasions When the world order keeps toppling over, I can't help but think back to Reen, hoping life doesn't go over being meaningless. I think about the doctor who motivated Reen's parents who brought him up to be the kind soul he is. I've been told there's not a lot you can do. Your influence remains small yet profound in people's life. There are certain people in my life that I meet, and I immediately think back to Reen. I had this chemistry teacher in high school. She was an incredibly lovely person, the kind of people whose presence is enough to make you feel calm. Their presence makes you ponder about spirituality itself. I hated chemistry, yet showing up to her class was always fun. You left feeling better. Once we had open house and I was managing a stall, towards the end I met her and greeted her, and she reached to her bag and took out a mini Snicker bar, saying, "I gave it to everyone and saved one for you." She would always remind me of Reen. It was once in a class some students pissed her off or something. I don't really remember, where she ended up mentioning how she grew up without a father. Her father passed away when she was very young. So these sisters found a way to raise themselves in a society where single mother homes are looked down upon. I wonder the struggles she went through, and despite it all, was such a wonderful person who never endorsed suffering, or that suffering is essential for some far-fetched understanding. In high school, I also had this physics teacher who had one lesson each week, and he used to wear formal shirts and pants and carried a gigantic backpack. He wore glasses and had vitiligo. He had this immense passion for physics and was pursuing a PhD in a local, not so academically prestigious university. He taught at multiple schools to support himself, and I used to wonder the financial burden he had to pursue PhD in a local university when he had the passion and the intelligence to pursue it probably anywhere else. Yet he carried this passion that was so refreshing to see. He would go off on monologues on some topic. He would quote Rumi's poetry and tell us about the correlation between mysticism and physics. Are these some of the many people who influenced me explicitly or implicitly to the person I am today? As someone interested in medicine and art, I always wonder which is more profound to leave an impact. They both are inherently vast and different, but from a perspective of what to pursue. Do you influence people through art like this story did for me, that I have thought back to it at so many occasions? Or have the potential to show up for people and community in regards to their health? Yet in the current world, both these fields are under attack. We are poisoning art through AI, making it inherently difficult to become a doctor, creating an industry built on exploitation. Isn't that the whole point to live? To make art, and to be able to do that, we need to be healthy and alive. Perhaps the conclusion I would like to draw is that we should strive to be like Reen. I want to be someone like Reen. I don't want the ugliness of the world to get to me. I want to show up for people around me, be kind enough to bring change, to be the second type of good person who holds capacity to do otherwise but chooses kindness.